Dear participants, we will immediately start the seminar for today. That is a retail sector during the COVID times. And for today, we have Mr. Deepak L. Ashwani, the chairman and managing director of Ashwani Lechmans Group and the co-chair of the FICCI Kerala chapter. The various business firms like Lachman Das and Sons, Asha Jyoti, My Kingdom, Lachman Das Trading Company, Park Avenue, Color Plus, Lachman Das Trading Company. These are the icons of his business leadership. I take this opportunity to cordially welcome our beloved speaker for today, Mr. Deepak sir. So on behalf of the request all the participants to mute the audio. And on behalf of the Albertian Center for Human Resource Development and Research, St. Albert's College, I take this opportunity to cordially welcome Deepak Ashwani sir for the today's webinar session. Sir, up to you, sir. You can start the session.
Thank you, Stein. I hope I'm audible. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. It's audible.
Okay. Yeah, good morning. Thank you so much, Shine, for inviting me to speak on retail, particularly during these disturbing times of COVID-19. What you forgot to mention about me is I am an alumnus of St. Albert's College also.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
And I'm also from the first batch of the Cochin University full-time MBA.
MBA, yeah. I have reserved some information when I thank you, sir, at the end of the webinar session.
To prove that please. I'm a little older than I look, Okay. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, sir. Over to you.
Yeah. Okay. See, as you know, retail is basically one of the most important elements of our lives. Whatever product is produced, right from the raw material to the finished product, basically enters into the consumer's hands or to his place of residence or work through retail. So anything that is broken up to the consumer's requirement is basically considered a retail product. So this could mean anything, right from food items to apparel to your white goods to even your SIM card, your quick dining restaurants, anything that basically comes to the consumer the way he wants it for his purpose. So in this particular situation, when you have a total lockdown, what happens is most of these things will not be available for you. The government, of course, has come down with certain relaxation, saying that at least the essential products will be made available. But in a lockdown period, even the essential products are very hard to come. So you find huge queues and crowds. There also social distancing is being maintained because of the COVID regulations as well as the requirements. So what happens is getting your product in and out is a bit of a problem. Retail particularly has been going through very hard times because of the financial downturn in the economy just before February. And in fact, the entire industry was asking for a financial stimulus from the government. And what we were just getting was a little bit of bits and pieces. The country is so large that even the governments are not able to really send out the proper fiscal stimulus or the requirements or cash to the persons who actually need it. unless and until there is money in the hands of the consumer, how will he buy anything at all? And particularly what's happening is the urban demand is stuck because people are already reserved their money with the advanced EMIs that are payable. March is also a month where a lot of investments are to be made. In fact, we in business say that March is a month when there are no revenues whatsoever and everything goes out. It's a month when all your cash flows become minus because you've got to invest in taxes, your investments, you've got to pay bonuses, you've got to pay salaries, incentives, everything at that particular month. So money is hard to come by. So in this situation, with no major expenditure by the government on infrastructure or anything that can cheer up the consumer to spend was not there. And then we suddenly had this lockdown. Now, typically, just like demonetization, the lockdown also came in such a manner that it just took everybody by surprise. Overnight, we were asked to shut down our shops. The situation was such that we left the shop in such a manner that we had, without doing our standard operating procedures of closure, cleaning, and things like that, goods were left on the counter, and we have not been able to get back into the shops as of now. There are some more relaxations which are coming, but as we see it, what's happened now is retail industry itself is talking about business of 9 months during this year, provided we are able to open before June, which means 3 months are lost. So 33% of your business, 1/4 of the business is lost that way. That added to the recession that we were having takes it up to 33%. And then what happens after you open also, it is not going to be a full opening. It's going to be again in bits and pieces, and we don't know what is going to happen after the relaxation of the lockdown. We don't expect people to come in and the first thing do shopping because essential goods are available to them, and many of our customers now are now used to buying essentials, and within essentials also they are now buying only the hardcore staples. Like, if I go to the supermarket, I'll buy my rice and atta first. Then all the add-ons and things like that, which one used to buy, the frills and the fancies, or if the husband was shopping, he would pick up this, that, everything from the sides. That will not take place. Money is hard to come by. So what I was trying to say is your business is down to 33%, down by minus 33%. Your expenses do not change. The retailer's expenses do not change. Now, typically what happens is from the normal expenditure that a retailer incurs, almost 85% of the retailer's expenditure is fixed expenses. The three main expenditures that the retailer has, one is salaries, the second is the rent he has to pay to the landlord, and third is basically electricity. Now, electricity has two components to it. There is a fixed charge, there is also a variable charge. Then there are other expenses like, maintenance expenses. If you are having electrical equipment, those maintenance AMCs and other things are all there. But 85% of the expenditure of a retailer is basically in fixed nature. So what happens is when you have only 35 to 40% of your revenue and you have to incur 100% of your expenditure, straight away 2020-21 is going to be a year of loss. That is provided things start happening in the month of June. Now, if they do not happen, for every month that we do not work, basically 8% more business is being lost or revenue is being lost, and the expenditure still remains. So this is the situation in the retail environment. Still, a lot of commodities have lost their relevance also. Now, for example, fashion industry. Now, just before March, what has happened is that is the period when all companies, manufacturers, they try to achieve their targets. They try to dump in their sales targets into the retail stores so that the oncoming season, which was supposed to be Vishu, Easter, and the wedding season that was supposed to be on later. Now, none of that happened, but the stock has come in. That added to the existing stock that people had. Now, whether you take it as garments or you take white goods or you take any form of retail goods, all these are now stuck in the stores. The bigger problem is also with people who had perishables. Like suppose a supermarket was not allowed to open and he had perishable things like vegetables or I'll give you an example of what has happened to Coca-Cola now. Coca-Cola is going to destroy a huge inventory which is going to put them into a loss already this year because the expiry date for most of their products is already over. There are short-term expiry dates for a number of products. So this again adds on to the expenditure that people have. Now, what happens to the business that is going to come in? Now, this is what we have to start looking at. Some places like the malls and things like that, which were working and which were attracting crowd, that was primarily because they had the cinemas and they had the restaurants, the food courts. And what happened was the choice of the tenants in the mall was decided by the mall owners so that it adds to the business of the anchor stores. Like in the case of Lulu Mall, the hypermarket would work, but what would happen is there was mutual support from the other stores and from the hypermarket to the other stores. Now, if one of them is lacking, the other suffers also. So you don't get your 100% business at any cost. And with the movement of customers restricted, you still don't have mobility to reach your location. In fact, the good news in Ernakulam is that tomorrow the odd even numbers of vehicles might start, which is it is some source of happiness. And I think we are following what Kejriwal did in Delhi. So this is the situation that we face. The other problem is whatever happens in retail is reflected back towards the source of the raw material. Like if you go backwards from retail, you go back to the wholesalers, from the wholesalers to the manufacturers. The manufacturers also have wide branches like ancillary industries who are dependent on the manufacturers. Like you take Maruti, for example. A lot of ancillary industries are dependent on Maruti. So if Maruti does not work, those ancillary industries don't know what to do. What will they do with the materials that they manufacture? Now, this is the same case for a garment unit also. Now, in the garment unit, what happens is that there are vendors who are making the garments for the companies and it is branded by the said company. Now, the price to the branded company is determined by the number of garments that are produced. It all works on economies of scale. Now, these economies of scale, if they are not there, then the vendor is not able to supply, then he gets killed. Now, he has nowhere to go. There are a number of garment units now which are shut down and now are making masks. Now, we are able to produce enough masks for the entire country, which China is doing in minutes on machines. We are doing it manually. That is just by the side. So what it now comes to essentially is for retail now is profit management versus liquidity management. There is no cash which is going to come to the retailers. So what do? So typically when you take a balance sheet, there are 3 or 4 main things that you have to take care of. One, as I talked about, is the fixed expenditure. Now the fixed expenditure we have to convert into variable. Now, how one does that is a thing that the retailers will have to discover. I can give you a couple of suggestions, like you can bargain for rent, you can talk to the landlords that you have and probably get a bit of sympathy from them, and then in case of certain government concerns, some of the MSMEs have been allowed certain concessions that 3 months rent they need not pay to the government. But what happens to the individual landlords who also get a regular income from the tenants? Now, this income is also converted into payment of EMIs for something else that they have bought or invested into. Now, when I'm getting a regular income from a good tenant, obviously I would reinvest it into some other investment, be it property or some SIP or a mutual fund or anything of that sort. What happens to my regular deposits there? B, my expenditure to the banks. One of the biggest expenditure that we have is interest, which I forgot to mention earlier. Now, interest costs are not going to reduce. You may probably be able to get a moratorium for 2 or 3 months. But then, as many newspapers have reported, many people have calculated is, you end up paying more interest than what you actually bargained for. Your number of installments increase, but if you calculate at the end of the payment period, you have ended up paying more interest to the bank than what is actually due to the bank. So the bank does not really lose. So the interest factor also is not being reduced. Unlike many other developed countries where the interest rates have been slashed by various lenders, in India we find that even the reduction in the CRR, the liquidity ratios and so on are not being fully passed on to the borrower. So the banking system also needs to be approached and certain concessions have to be taken from the bankers. There again, one has to talk in terms of increased liquidity requirements. So working capital requirements will definitely go up because you're not getting the same type of revenue and you have to pay your suppliers also. Because if you don't pay your suppliers, they will in future not send you goods. In the initial stages, they will try to pressurize pick up whatever goods they have already manufactured or for which they have already bought the raw materials. They have to quickly get into production. That is why the manufacturing industry is insisting on the government that even if it is in the rural areas, please allow us to manufacture so that the materials which are with them, they are both perishable and they may also run out of fashion. So if they are not used right now, they will never be used again. So there are huge losses awaiting the manufacturers also. So the third expense which can be reduced is obviously the marketing costs. But how do you tell the customer that you are available and you're there to give them all the services and so on? Because there's going to be a huge competition on the social media for advertising on the cheapest possible way. Now, everybody is getting onto the social media, and whether you like it or not, a lot of advertisements are appearing on this particular thing, and many more are going to come. Then the expenditure to the staff. Now, we closed down in the month of March. Typically, in the month of April, you have to give an increase of wages to the salary. Now, the question playing around in the minds of people is how do we pay the wages of April itself in the month of April? Because there is absolutely zero income or revenue. So a lot of discussions are going on with the government, and the government is just not relenting. There have been talks about PF and so on and so forth, or ESI money that is kept as reserves to be released. But I don't think the government is going to listen to all this. They are expecting the owners or the owners of businesses to come out with a way on their own. Ultimately, what happens is your most important resource in business is your staff. And if the staff are not kept happy and they are not taken care of, then they will obviously try to move on, provided they get a job, or they will remain unhappy throughout their life. They just need one bad day, and that will be treated as life for them. So, how to keep the staff happy at minimum expenses? There are many people who have got onto sessions like this and are training their staff and giving them new capabilities. Because what is going to happen now is the other side of the business, which I was to talk earlier about, was that retail is actually divided into two broad spheres. One is online, one is offline. Now, over a period of time, a third aspect to that is modern retail. Now, when you get into online, which is slowly catching up day by day, you know about the Amazons, the Flipkarts, and the Snapdeals, and so on, who are now pressurizing to even supply grocery to the consumers. The good news is that Amazon is, I mean, as a retailer, I'm saying, is that Amazon Prime is now stopping. but they'll definitely come out with something else. The future of retail is basically getting online. And today, if you see also, there are a lot of newcomers who are now realizing the situation. A lot of startups are there, and many of them are now coming into the space now. You have a lot of companies like Spark, B2B, even Zomato and Swiggy are now being used to supply groceries. ITC, for example, has now started ITC stores in association with Swiggy and Zomato. So what you do is you order what you want. The saving is that your traveling expenses are being saved, so that a small amount of delivery charges is what Swiggy and Zomato take to keep up this delivery cost. Otherwise, all what you want is required from the site and it's delivered at your door. So even for essentials, you may not have to go to a supermarket. So social distancing is not going to be a problem like that. But what I see is huge opportunity for startups and others to take away business from the traditional offline retailers. Every coin has got two sides. So the other side of the coin for people who are in retail is the personalized service of the kirana shops. Now the kirana shops or the Palanjarka Kadas, as we call it, the provision shops that we have in the neighborhood and who are at the corner and whom we have easy access to, they are able to make money. The latest records say the person who was now doing, let's say, 10,000 rupee business in a week is now doing 1 lakh rupee business. His business has gone up 10 times because of the lockdown. Now, this is the business that all the multinationals are eyeing. So, he is also going to be under pressure. And this is where Jio has come in now. Jio Broadband yesterday has signed up with Facebook for their WhatsApp app. So what they're going to use that is basically train kirana shops to upgrade themselves to accept this app, which they're anyway using right now, and use it for business. So that's going to be a huge game changer in the business. So I'll go back to the balance sheet and the profit and loss account. In the balance sheet, you have three major working capital features. One is cash on hand. We talked about cash on hand. The other is many people give credit. Now, it is the normal supermarkets may not be giving you credit, but they do give you the service of a credit card. Now, for the credit card, these services don't come free because as a merchant, you are supposed to pay MasterCard or Visa a certain amount of charges through the bank, which runs to a normal of around 1 to 1.5%. Now, the government of India, when they came up with RuPay and Paytm came in, they all promised that they will not charge this, but then how do they run their business? So that is another charge which can be actually reduced. So if they can bargain with the credit card companies and others, because day by day what's happening is the reliance on credit cards is increasing. There was a time when we used to do 90% business by cash. Now it is 80% credit cards, 20% on cash. Cash is losing its relevance, and the severe monitoring of cash and the severe pressures put on by the government not to use cash is slowly paying off. So what is going to happen is slowly and steadily, again you go back to credit card economy, and there for which you have to pay. Now, when you pay that 1 to 1.5%, this is probably the margin that a wholesaler earns in the business. So if one can save that or bargain to get that to reduce to a sort of a minimal, that would be another saving. Along with that, when you come to bigger retailers and the people who give installments and credit and all that, there is a certain amount of interest charges that they are foregoing. So now they have to find out methods by which they can save that interest or they reduce their aging debtors. Your outstanding in the market has to come down. But in a situation where there is no money, you can't afford to rankle a customer and say, give me my money and so on. Even suppliers, they have to be a little careful and a little ginger when they go and ask for money now, because they have to sympathize and empathize with their trader or their supplier or their consumer. The moment you go back in the situation where people don't have money and say, I will not supply you if you don't pay me my money, then that consumer you lose for life. So that's another situation which psychologically has to be taken care of. So this can have this thing I would call as a certain amount of humanity and reasonableness has to come into the business. So you have to be as reasonable as possible without affecting your business or taking too many risks. The most important part of working capital is, of course, the stock on hand that one is holding. And that forms a bigger part of the inventory right now. What happens in a situation where the consumer, let's take the case of fashion and luxury goods or white goods. Now, in a situation where you are not able to move, not able to get your proper thing, and you have a risk of your job going, see the number of jobs that have already been cut is huge. If you take the developed countries, there have been a lot of job losses. Now, that's the next thing that is going to happen, because when we come back into the expenditure side, we were talking about staff salaries. How do you reduce? One aspect of that is basically whether you can get into layoffs or whether you have to reduce your strength. Now, there is also a talk about people trying to get into, just like the vehicles, getting into odd days and even days, even for the staff. Obviously, there will be a drop in their income. Now, when you take that across the industry, then again, less money is going to be there and less demand is going to be there for products and services. Incidentally, service also comes under part of retail also, because now many items like security and others, now travel, all these are now coming under retail. Sorry. So what happens to the inventory? Now, inventory, what happens is there are products which also go out of fashion. Right now, during the lockdown, even if one wanted to buy a new TV set, because he has the only alternative for him was to sit at home and watch his TV, or even if the husband wanted to help the lady, he would need a vacuum cleaner or a mixie or some cutting equipment so that he can help the wife in the kitchen. The mopping and everything was not there. Now, after the lockdown relaxes, would there be a need for these type of equipment immediately, or whether there's a replacement required? So, the only government replacement coming immediately is because people have put on weight and they want other sizes. That's the only way I think luxury garments can be wanted, because people have got so used to be living in their nighties and their lungis that I think it's going to be very difficult to get them out of it. So comfortable wear, essential wear, that is what is going to sell in the next period. So what happens to the fashion categories? Now, if fashion is not taken at the fashion time, see abroad there are many seasons. Now in summer, you would be wearing summer. And when it comes to autumn, there's a different type of dressing. And when you come to winter, it is totally different. So fortunately, in tropical climates like ours, we don't have that much of a problem, and there is still the element of fashion does not change. But if there is a spark somewhere where the fashion is changing, and if you keep still old goods, people also have this tendency to go and see the manufacturing dates on the goods now. Many a housewife is very strict about it. That is why when I told you about Coca-Cola, people look at the dates of manufacture and then buy. So if the date is not fresh and relevant, people tend to just leave the product there, or go to a competitive product, or even avoid buying that product. So in the fashion industry and in the white goods industry, many products would have lost their relevance. So what do you do about that product? Now, how to liquidate product which is already in your hands? There is a lot of product which is lying in transit in all the transport companies. All the goods are frozen where they were sent in the month of March. They've been lying in the transporters' godown for the last 1.5 months. So when they are opened, now no manufacturer is going to take it back. You have to again put it as part of your inventory. And typically, when I talk about seasonal sale of goods, you also buy your goods seasonally. You have already ordered your autumn winter goods in the month of January. That's how the fashion cycle works. So, do you mean to say that the manufacturer will stop manufacturing or he will not send the goods? For him, also, business has to start moving. Only then he can start earning some revenues and then pay his people. So, I think there has to be a huge stimulation of demand which has to take place. And I think we'll have to come up with some very innovative ideas of selling products. We had a discussion. I'm also the chairman of the Retailers Association of India for the Kerala chapter. We had a long discussion on this issue, and some of the important things that came out of this was, since we have an association, one of the suggestions was given was, how about cross-selling, cross-promotion? See, the airlines used to do that, like, okay, you take a air ticket and you get probably a room free. In garments, there were people who used to do that, saying that you buy a suit and we'll give you a shirt free. Ideally, charity begins at home, so one should actually try to dispose of goods that they have. That would be the least expensive or least costly to them. The other thing is to cross sell. Now, for example, if there is a shop which is selling electronics, now can you cross sell, let's say, garments out there? Some garments kept on consignment basis and kept out there so that anyway the rich customer is coming there, whether he can take a look, at least he will be aware that that is the fashion, and whether he can buy it off there and probably gets incentivized for that. That is one of the very important things that came out of our discussion. Cross promotions, cross selling. The like we said, now the bargaining with the friend has to be done. So also one has to bargain with your bankers and find out whether you can get the interest rates reduced. At best, you can threaten them that you will close the account, but right now, when you need money, can you close your account? Because all your securities and all have been given to a particular bank, and trying to get out of one bank, although a number of banks keep calling, you want to change your term loan and things like that, we are most willing to do it at lesser rates of interest. But unless the interest rates are fairly attractive, don't get into this. This is what we suggest. So the other thing is also you have to look for suppliers. Now, suppliers who are supplying you at certain margins, we will have to now start looking at multi-suppliers, people who can give you better supply conditions and terms. So that is another major thing that can happen. So what happens there is that you can bargain for better terms, conditions. Again, the concept of reasonableness will come in. Both you cannot hurt your supplier so badly that you get out of his way, or he gets hurt and then doesn't supply you again. So we also learn our lessons from the developed economies and people who have recovered from COVID. Two countries which come to mind are China and South Korea. I will not discuss much about China right now because their way of doing things is totally different, including the way they eat their food. But South Korea, which is a little more different and a more modern economy, what has happened immediately after COVID and after the relaxation of lockdown is people have been flocking to malls and public recreational areas because they have been pent up in their houses and they want to release that frustration. So once the cinemas open also, people will stop Netflix and pirated movies and start moving back to the theater. So malls, cinema, restaurants, golf courses, these are the places where people would like to flock to and spend a lot of money out there. The other thing is people who have not gone for their sporting activity or their places of worship, those are going to be areas where people are going to flock to. Now, whether one can think in terms of using that as a traffic area to sell something, is something to be thought about. So I would like to conclude, and I would also like to get some questions and some suggestions from whoever's listening to me, because I'm not Superman, but I can tell you for sure what is going to happen is there's going to be a huge digital transformation, in the sense that from offline there is going to be a huge tendency to go to online. Whoever is satisfied is quickly recommending, and social media has got the power to spread so fast. It's worse than the word of mouth. If you notice, WhatsApp has become so successful because it's so easy to transmit a message in seconds. The second thing I would summarize is that the role of Kirana stores, if you take Mukesh Ambani, is betting very strongly on this. So there has to be something. So if there is an opportunity to open some neighborhood stores and things like that, that would be a great opportunity. And there is also an opportunity for the existing Kirana stores to modernize themselves to take on the the online world. The other major thing that is going to happen is the hygiene business, the healthcare business. That is going to take a huge boom. Because after what's happened right now, the hygiene levels, people who are never using sanitizers, there are jokes in the net saying that people are consuming more alcohol through sanitizers than by liquor. It is now that everybody has got into the spirit of hygiene. That includes, even your way of dressing, your clothing, your social distancing. You may not give a hug, you may say namaste, you may not shake hands. So there are various things to learn from that and various opportunities coming. And finally say that, every adversity is also an avenue for opportunity. So once that is taken, I think ultimately, destiny takes you somewhere. So right now, we just got to pray and get out of the lockdown as fast as possible and pray that this corona does not do more damage than what it has already done. It remains to be seen once the lockdown relaxation takes place and when people start coming out to the open, whether it's going to further spread. There is a talk of a W curve. That means a V curve becomes W, which means there'll be a repeat of the coronavirus. If that happens, then I think there's going to be bigger problems coming. So thank you very much for listening to me patiently. If there are any questions, I'll be glad to take them.
So Deepak sir, the participants are asking the questions in the chat box.
Okay. Can you just sum up a few questions and ask me? I'll answer them.
Yeah, what should be done by the small retailers after the lockdown to manage their financial conditions? By Chiman Lal.
Yeah, this is what I've already mentioned. See, the first thing is you'll have to get rid of your inventory, which has been lying there, which is going to be slow moving or dead inventory. We classify inventory into age wise as well as whether it's relevant. If it is not relevant and if it is aging, that's the first thing one has to encash. That is the first most important thing so that cash comes into your system. The second thing is that you need revenue, you need business. So how do you stimulate business? Already what has happened is a lot of supermarkets have taken away a lot of business from the thing, but for essential goods. For non-essential goods, I think it is going to be the same old scenario which is going to happen. There is a big talk about giving discounts and trying to sell off goods. But the moment you start admitting to the fact that these goods are old, so my first and most important thing is you have to somehow dispose your inventory because there is a lot of inventory lying in transit also. And the manufacturers and suppliers are also waiting to dump goods because they also have godowns and warehouses which are full of stocks. So inventory management is the key thing for better cash management.
So another question that participant have is It's regarding the personalized care that the retail industry gives. That's a personalized retail experience. But when you move to the digital retail, will it lack that personal experience?
See, again, it is product-wise the determination. See, why do you go to a restaurant? It's because of the type of service and the way your food is given to you and the way it is plated. Uh, so where service is not a big requirement, there is no issue. But where service, advice, customer relationship is required, there you have to step it up. In fact, the thing that we discussed, when we have a conference about what should we do for our operating systems right now, the moment that we open, we are now looking at saying that whether, first of all, the shop is actually safe enough to open. When the consumer comes back to your store, whether the shop is safe enough or whether it is good for the consumer to come back to the store. So all forms of sanitation and hygiene have to be made. At the same time, you have to maintain your social distancing. So a lot of things change within the store also. For example, you will have to keep a distance from the consumer. Consumer will keep a distance from you. I'll give you a simple example of what the problem is going to be. Will you allow a tailor to take your measurements now? So what happens is he'll have to find a new method of taking measurements. Otherwise, he will again have to be dressed up in a mask and those clothes, plastic clothes, and whatever it is. So what happens is, the joy of doing things normally will go off. The customer will tend to get a little more scared. So how you overcome all this is going to be very important. Ultimately, let's be very frank about it. 40% of the customers do a lot of window shopping and shopping as one of their worldly habits. So they will definitely come into the store for the touch and feel part of the business. Whatever is said and done, online retailing will not be able to give that. But they are finding methods to overcome that also. Yeah.
Another question is about, can you uh, share about the industry related with the bus, auto, or the public transportation system run by the private
Yeah.
people?
See, one of the reasons why the government is not allowing public transportation is that it becomes again a crowded place. If you see the Indian system, I would ask you to go back to one of these evening memo trains, or you get into one of the private buses in the morning or late in the evening. They're all packed in like sardines. Now, if you take Bombay and take the Bombay local railway, you are lucky to get into the train because it is that packed. So, in a situation like that, don't you expect corona to spread faster? This is what we are saying, as the lockdown is relaxed and you try to come back to your near normal conditions, you have the higher risk of attracting corona if it is lying around. And still, many doctors don't know what is this disease, how to treat it, and no vaccine is still being found. See, every day we find cases that are recovering, but you go back to Maharashtra, you go back to Bombay where Dharavi is there. Every day you find that there are more and more cases springing up from out of the blue. And people are scared, because they are saying the day we open up and get into the near normal conditions, there is going to be a huge surge in corona cases. So already the government has suggested, okay, you have alternate seating in the flights. What they are saying is, okay, suppose you have 1 to 6, so you have 1, 3, then you move to 5 and 7, or 5 and the alternate seats. And the back seat also, you do the same thing. So alternate seating is one answer, both in buses and the thing. In trains, there is a suggestion that you avoid the middle berth, but again, you don't allow for overcrowding, just enough for seating for maintaining social distancing. Now, social distancing is going to be the new buzzword. Yeah.
Dear participants, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, they can unmute and ask. There's no problem.
Yeah, it's better. We have less people on today. It's just 46. You can unmute yourself and ask, please.
There is a question by somebody asking about what happens to people engaged in the food industry.
Food industry.
Yes. Now, one of the reasons why restaurants are all closed is basically because there is more touch in the restaurant industry than any other industry. Even when you're buying vegetables and fruits. Now, yesterday there was a lorry guy who was caught who had COVID-19 symptoms, and he was supplying watermelons from Palghat to Ernakulam and Kottayam. Now, what happens is if one guy is caught, then all these watermelons have to be checked, and also the places where this guy has interacted. So what happens is now the entire chain goes in. Like in Rashtrapati Bhavan, one sanitation worker got infected. Now 125 people in that circle have been cordoned off. So that's another major issue which has happened there. So in the food industry, unless you're following all the rules and regulations that have been addressed by both FSSAI and the current Ministry of Home Affairs guidelines, you have to be extremely careful. People say that by heating and other things, you're losing a lot of germs when it is cooked properly. But what about the hygiene conditions in the places where they are manufactured or they are cooked? So those have to be a little taken care of. Have to be a little careful there. Yeah. Any other questions? I'm getting a lot of thank yous.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'd like to thank you for at least listening to me. In case you have a recorded version of this, please send it to me. Yeah?
Definitely, sir. We'll share. So I have a confusion. A point to ask. So as we move to the digital era of retail management, will the small parties like the normal ones that we see in the local community, will they be erased totally from the society, the normal retailers?
Can you give me an example?
So consider that in each and every junctions of Kerala, we could see a lot of retailers who.
Shine, I've noticed one great thing that has happened after demonetization is many people have a Paytm board with the QR code on their shops. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, yes, sir.
So what has happened there is that is the first step towards the digital revolution. If somebody wants to make a payment and he doesn't have cash, through the phone he is able to make a payment from his bank account or his credit card account through the QR code. Now, when we talk of GST, now today what has happened to GST is everything is being billed and sold. Now, over a period of time, now people have now got used to GST, isn't it?
Right.
So one of the most complicated systems. And by far, why Mukesh Ambani, like I mentioned earlier, has got into this is basically, if you take the total number of customers that each one of them has, Facebook has got about 250 million, WhatsApp has got about 450 million, and Jio has got about 390 million. That means already they have got a huge base now in their hands, and this includes people from all walks of life. These small retailers. Now, what is happening to many of these small retailers is they have also learned that if they do not upgrade, their children are not coming into their business. Typically in India, what's been happening is it's the children who take over the father's occupation or trade. So if the shop is not modernized to a certain mini supermarket or something like that, they will not enter into this thing. But I find that a certain element of change has to come, because now what happens to airline tickets, for example? What happens to your train tickets? They're all now bought online. So if a person doesn't know, doesn't think twice before asking for help. So he goes back to the neighbor or somebody who knows and says, "Okay, just do this for me." I'm sure over a period of time, WhatsApp is going to be a great game changer, and I think Mukesh Ambani has really succeeded in making a big breakthrough with Facebook. So that is going to be the biggest digital transformation in retail. Am I clear on that issue?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Hello.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, and dear participants, if you have any point to raise, please. So I believe that it's almost 1 hour now.
Yeah.
Say a word of thanks to you, sir. It's our privilege that we had our own alumni, a wonderful speaker who shares a lot of platforms in the management uh, speaking platforms. And I believe that the students of ours, as well as the teachers and from different other colleges, have very much benefited from the last 1 hour. And on behalf of the Albatian Center for Human Resource Development and Research and St. Albert's College, and especially on behalf of the retail department of ours, the co-host of today's program, I would like to extend our sincere thanks to our beloved speaker of the day, Sri Deepak L. Ashwani, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful, insightful session of today. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much. And if there are any suggestions that you have, I'd be only very happy to take it. You can always contact me through Shine. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. And dear participants and beloved speaker of the day, St. Albert's College Autonomous is moving to its Platinum Jubilee celebrations in the coming year. That's from June 16th onwards. We are moving to a 1 year long Platinum Jubilee celebration. So I believe that there will be a wonderful platforms where all the alumni can come together and share the sessions with our students. I believe that a day will be earmarked for you, sir, to join with us and to share a lot of knowledge as well as your wonderful experience with, especially with our retail department students and the students in general. So once again, thank you very much, sir, for your wonderful session and your love to your alma mater. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
And my dear students and participants from various colleges as well as from St. Albert's College Autonomous. It's good that you all have joined with us and ensured that that day is very useful to you. On behalf of the Albatian Center for Human Resource Development and Research and the Department of Retail Management, I extend our sincere gratitude to all the participants. Please, before leaving the webinar, please ensure that you have marked the attendance by putting typing in your name and the institution's name in the chat code. Thank you very much. Once you complete the process, you can leave. Good day.
Was I okay? Was I okay?
Thank you all the participants for participating and registering for this program. Thank you very much. Once you mark the attendance, you can leave. Thank you.